We have a weird system in this country. If you're not remanded into custody at sentencing, on your first day of prison, you have to just drive to the prison and knock on the door and say, I'm John Kiriakou. I'm here to turn myself in. It's weird. So the morning that I left for prison, said goodbye to my kids and my wife. My attorneys, several of my attorneys, came to drive me, my cousin and his son, a documentary film crew. We stopped at a diner on the way up for my last meal. And then we went to the prison. So at sentencing, my attorneys asked that I be sent to a minimum security work camp. And there are no bars on the windows. The doors are unlocked. You're just on your honor not to run away. And camps are always across the street from the actual prison, because if there's a riot and a lockdown, it's the guys in the camp who go do the cooking and the laundry and the maintenance and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I go to the camp, knock on the door, tell the guard, I'm here to turn myself in. He says, yeah, you got to go across the street to the prison first, and they process you, and then they'll bring you back over here. And I said, okay. So I went across the street to the prison, knocked on that door. Cop opens the door. I said, I'm here to turn myself in. He puts me through the metal detector. And then he starts taking me around to the back of the prison. And I said, no, I'm supposed to be at the camp across the street. And he goes, not according to my paperwork, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, take it easy. There's nothing you can do. If you raise a ruckus, they're going to put you straight in solitary. So I didn't say anything. So they take me into R&D, receiving and discharge. And they give you a very comprehensive body check. And then they give you, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of socks, 3 shirts, 3 pants, and 2 sheets. What else? A washcloth and a towel and a roll of toilet paper. And it took about 40 minutes. And then the cop walks me to my cell. And the only thing he said to me in the whole 40 minutes was, if anybody comes into your cell uninvited, that's an act of aggression. I thought, great. I've been here 40 minutes and I'm going to get my ass kicked. And I thought, well, all right, well, there's nothing I can do. So I go into the cell. I took a nap, and I realized later it's because I was in shock, I think.
You'd been through a whole lot leading to this time.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
In terms of stress,
Oh,
your body's
my God.
probably
It was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I wake up. I'm just sitting in the chair. These cells were built for 4 guys, but they squeeze an extra bunk bed in. So there's 6 guys in a 4-man cell. You got 3 bunk beds and 1 plastic chair. So I'm sitting in the chair, and these 2 guys just walk right into my cell. One has a that takes up his entire neck, the whole front of his neck up onto his face. The other one had "you" tattooed on his eyelids. So every time he blinked, it said "you." So they come into the, I know, right? Isn't that lovely?
He's wholesome.
Like, your parents must be so proud, right?
His mom didn't go back and get a master's degree and teach him anything.
No. So I jump up, I put up my dukes. I go, what do you want? Like that. And the guy goes, take it easy. This guy, take it easy. You the new guy? I go, yeah. So he goes, you a fag? I said, no, I'm not a fag. You a rat? I said, no, I'm not a rat. I didn't have anybody else in my case. And he goes, you a chum? I said, I don't know what that word means. And he goes, child. I said, no, I'm not a child. And he goes, okay, you can sit with the Aryans in the cafeteria. And I go, oh, okay.
I'm so delighted to hear this.
Now I'm with the Aryans. I said to myself, great. So a couple of days later, this black guy walks right into my cell, and he's holding this newspaper. And again, I jump up, and this guy is like knotted muscle, a perfect human specimen, right?
Yeah.
And I jump up and go, what do you want? And I'm thinking I wouldn't last 5 seconds against this guy.
He's going to break me in half, but I'm going to be swinging my arms when he does it.
That's it. Haymakers.
That's right.
So he very gingerly hands me this paper, and I see it's the newspaper of the Nation of Islam. And he said, "Are you the CIA guy?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, as he hands me the paper, he says, "Reverend Farrakhan says you're a hero of the Muslim people. And I want you to know you won't have any problems with us." And I said, "Oh, okay. Thanks." I actually put my hand out, and he's like, "I don't shake hands with the white devil." I was like, sorry. Okay, thank you.
I got carried away a little bit.
So of my cellmates in that original cell, 4 were members of Mexican cartels, the Borrachos Norteños, Mexican, and I forget the other one now. And then one Chinese drug smuggler. And so one of the Mexicans said to me, are you educated? And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you write my appeal?" And I said, "I'm not a lawyer." "Yeah, but you're educated." I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll write your appeal. How hard could it possibly be?" The guy was guilty. I mean, the DEA had actually shot him. He had a bullet wound, like the scar from the bullet where the DEA shot him. They had like 20 tons of cocaine in a warehouse in Houston.
Right.
So I wrote the appeal. The appeal was denied, but he told all the Mexicans that I was a good guy because I wrote the appeal and I didn't charge him anything. He offered me the currency is either books of stamps, which were worth $7 at the time, or bags of mackerel, smoked mackerel. Those were worth $1. So I said, "No, I got people on the outside. I don't need your Mac." So he told everybody, "Oh, I was a good guy and I didn't charge him any money." So I didn't have any problem with the Mexicans either. The Italians, and this is what made my prison experience so easy. There was a front page article in the New York Times on a Sunday saying the CIA guy is going to FCI Loretto, Pennsylvania on Thursday. And one Italian, Mark Lanzelotti, God bless him, for whatever reason, took it upon himself to go to every one of the Italians. And there were at least a half a dozen made men. One was a boss of one of the 5 families. And one was the number 3 in another family. And he went to each one of these Italians to explain to them the difference between a CIA officer and an FBI agent. FBI agent is a cop. Cop and a rat is what he said. A CIA officer protected us from the Muslims. And so the Italians welcomed me with open arms. I lived directly across the hall from the number 3 in the Bonanno crime family. I used to give him my New York Times. He would give me his New York Post. We'd watch football on the weekends. And he said to me one day, "Let me ask you something." He said, "Why do you sit with those Nazi retards in the cafeteria?" I said, "I don't know. They came up to me my first day here and told me to sit with the Aryans." And he says, "From today, you're with the Italians." And they adopted me, and I was with the Italians the rest of the time. And I'll tell you, word got around quickly that I was with the Italians. And so it was hands off.
Really? Because
Yeah.
those were top level Italians.
The Italians were the very smallest one of the groups or gangs, and they were the most highly respected.
Do you think a lot of that was perception from movies and such?
Without any question.
Interesting.
Yeah.